Hello, my name is Jessica Miller, and I'm a faculty member at Oregon State University, and I'm part of the Coastal Oregon Marine Experiment Station. And within the Experiment Station, I run the Marine and Anadromous Fisheries Ecology Laboratory. And that laboratory is located at the Hatfield Marine Science Center at the mouth of Yaquina Bay, and here you can see an aerial image of the Science Center. Our lab focuses on understanding patterns of movement, migration, and growth and survival in marine and anadromous fish species. Why do we care about these things? The more we understand about how fish move, how they interact with each other, their migration patterns, and what influences their growth and ultimate survival, the better we can manage and conserve and make predictions about these populations. We look at species such as Chinook salmon, which is an anadromous species, meaning it begins its life in freshwater rivers, migrates out to the ocean for 1 or more years before it returns back, in most cases, to the river it was born or its natal river, to spawn, to reproduce, and then die. Pacific lamprey is another anadromous species, much less well known than salmon, but very important to tribal communities within the Pacific Northwest. And we also look at Pacific cod, a wholly marine species, and seek to understand how environmental variation, such as a marine heat wave that hit this region in 2014, 15, and 16, influenced their growth and survival. And in that case, populations of Pacific cod declined by more than 70% after that marine heat wave. So those small pictures there on the screen are called otoliths, or in the case of Pacific lamprey, statoliths. These are balance and orientation structures in the inner ear of fishes, analogous to our otoconia. And they're little structures that help us with balance and orientation. Fish as well. They're part of what's called the vestibular system. But what fisheries scientists like so much about these small structures is they begin to grow in the embryonic stage when the fish, like in that picture of a Chinook salmon with a yolk sac, is just beginning its life. And it grows, it lays down a little increment every single day for the life of a fish. And it gets larger and larger as the fish gets larger and larger. Additionally, elements that are in the water, in the environment, actually get integrated into those small structures as a fish grows. So when a fish moves from the freshwater to an estuary into the ocean, we can look at the chemistry, the composition of those hard structures, reconstruct their migration, or look at multi-elemental signatures of fish in the ocean and figure out if they had been mixing earlier in their life. So say, for example, we're following a population of juvenile Chinook salmon as they migrate through the lower Columbia River and estuary and out into the ocean for their first year at sea. We know that those fish have to deal with a whole suite of predators, bird predators, fish predators, and that the traits of fishes, such as their size or the way they move or how fast they swim, might influence who survives and who doesn't. And then we know those fish might also have to deal with marine heat waves, hot summers, harsh winter conditions where there is very little food that they need to survive those conditions. So a lot of what we do is use these tools to understand who survives and why, so we can apply that to understanding these variations in populations over time. And so we also have little summaries of some of the research the students are working on in the lab and postdocs. So I hope you go look at our associated videos, see Hilary Thalman talk about juvenile Pacific cod surviving marine heat waves, Joe Brockman telling you about oysters, ghost shrimp, and a parasite, Craig Norrie looking at the importance of early life stages of marine and anadromous fishes. Anna Bohm is looking at zooplankton feeding on microplastics off the Oregon and Northern California coasts. And then 2 students have been working with Pacific lamprey. Can learn more about lamprey by listening to Kayala Pelikai's presentation and Christina Parker's. So hopefully this gives you a bit of an overview of some of the work we're doing now in the Marine and Anadromous Fisheries Lab, Coastal Oregon Marine Experiment Station, and I hope that someday you get to come visit us here in Newport, Oregon.